So in a previous episode, we talked about unaffordable housing. Today, more on unaffordable housing. Next. In this episode, we're going to talk more about unaffordable housing. So last time we were together, we went over such things as inflation, mortgage rate, the apparent lack of government welfare to homebuyers, and how Biden called on Realtors to work for free to protect homebuyers. It seemed, in a nutshell, that home unaffordability is due to central planning failures and good old-fashioned, Marxism. Affordability is hard. Unaffordability stinks. So what's the solution? Hold on. Don't get the cart before the horse. First, we really need to know what the problem is, the underlying problem. Looks like we need to peel back the layers of the onion. Last week, we peeled back the layer called inflation. Under Biden, it's up 19%.
Inflation keeps coming down.
As you know, last month, the inflation came in hotter than expected for the third month in a row. Since Joe Biden took office, inflation's up over 19%.
And then we peeled back the layer of mortgage interest rates, doubled to tripled under Biden.
Mortgage rates are going to come down as well, but I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%.
Biden offered up that it's Trump's fault.
I've already cut the federal deficit by $1 trillion since I took office. The last guy increased the deficit by a larger margin than any president in American history in the 4 years he was president.
Another layer, Biden said that realtors are at fault and that realtors need to work for free, to protect home buyers.
I'm calling on realtors to follow through on lowering their commissions to protect home buyers.
This week, let's peel back some more layers.
Nothing here on Google about realtors being paid for the work as, being the cause of unaffordability. But we do see that high labor costs, high material costs, high land costs, and high entitlement costs make it hard to build affordable homes.
So if builders can't build affordable homes, then maybe there's going to be less affordable homes. High labor costs, high material costs, high land costs. Could all these things be worsened by Biden's inflation and the market's response to Biden's inflation? But what is high entitlements cost?
So from our Google search, here's this article. Entitlement costs refer to how expensive it is to obtain the necessary permits and approvals for developing a property.
It's the direct cost of government on top of all those indirect costs that we talked about earlier. Well, poop. We know government's not going to cut back on their involvement and their fees and the delays in building more affordable homes. In fact, what does government typically do? I think make things worse.
Right on time. Biden's new climate rules will add $31,000 to the price of a new home. The Biden administration's latest energy efficiency rule for new home construction will push up costs and make housing even less affordable at a time when house prices have just hit record highs. The Biden administration claims that the new rules won't negatively affect housing affordability and availability. Relatively modest increases in the cost, but it's going to be offset by lower energy bills. The minimum energy standards update is a statutory requirement. So what is a statutory requirement? With these code changes, there will be an additional increase in a price of $31,853 for the average new home in Kansas City. And at the same time, with energy cost savings of only $657 a year, the simple average payback for this would be 48 plus years.
So a couple of things. This is a statutory change under the executive branch, meaning Biden. This is not law. Your lawmaker, your representative in Congress did not vote for this. This falls solely in one place. And Biden did say that the immediate cost of this, over $31,000, will be offset by the poor homeowners' energy bill savings. It takes over 48 years to break even on that, but what the heck? It's to save the planet. So check this out. Median home prices have been going up.
And this from Realtor.com. Median list prices for homes are up 28% from January 2021. That's when Biden took office. Guess what? Looks like they're going to be going up even more, even faster before he leaves office.
Well, with that cheery bit of news, there's something out there that's impacting the housing supply and therefore prices, supply and demand, and affordability. And this is on a scale that far surpasses anything the government has directly done to negatively affect affordability. An election certainly won't fix this one.
Are institutional buyers, these big asset corporations, buying up what once was considered affordable housing? And here from 2021, 26% of the homes in Idaho went to investors.
So do you think things have changed since 2021? I follow this great real estate professional on YouTube, Krista Smallhorn, and she recently reported this.
44% of all single-family home purchases were made by institutional investors, according to the Medium. That is a viral article that went out last week, and people have been going crazy over it.
Dang, maybe things have changed since 2021. Please tell us more.
It says that private equity has been rapidly growing in its shares of the housing market, taking advantage of the housing crisis, in some cases exacerbating it. Before the Great Recession of 2009, financial institutions and investment firms focused on purchasing multifamily dwellings like apartments, essentially ignoring the single-family homes. But when tons of homes were suddenly sold in incredibly low prices with the interest rates so low, these investors jumped on the opportunity to scoop up homes. And that was big investors and small investors that were able to buy up as many houses as they could during that time.
These institutional investors weren't all that involved in buying single-family homes until they realized that they could buy them cheaply. But you might think with these higher interest rates that institutional investors might back off of their buying binge. But you would be so wrong. Higher interest rates actually put them in a better position to buy even more.
Private institutional investors, the big ones, are not rate sensitive. Because even though the rates have gone up consistently, it doesn't matter to an institutional investor that's buying it cash. Matter of fact, it gives them more opportunity because more buyers are sitting on the sidelines because they can't afford the newer, higher interest rates. So they have the opportunity to scoop up these smaller, cheaper homes for them and turn them into rental properties.
So does this sound like bad news to you? Not only are institutional investors a super strong force in the housing market,
they can outbid your children when it comes to buying an affordable home, says presidential candidate RFK Jr. And he warns these corporations are trying to buy every single family home in America.
Some argue these firms are out-competing regular buyers and are responsible for the skyrocketing rents and home prices. I kind of agree with this, but I'm going to show you another article in just a second why I think this. The growth of private equity in the housing market has been significant, and left unchecked, it could have far-reaching implications for affordability and availability of housing for individual home buyers.
Well, that certainly sounds scary. Can that possibly be true? Or is that just some tinfoil hat conspiracy?
Now it's time for the rebuttal from investors and economists saying that no, it's not true. 44% of investors haven't been buying up the housing market over the last several years. And this is the response that came from Housing Wire. And it was reprinted by Yahoo News because it's behind a paywall and Christina ain't paying. It says, no, Wall Street investors haven't bought 44% of homes this year. The 44% claim was made in a headline for the Medium article last week and spread like wildfire across social media. Congress has even jumped on the bandwagon with Democratic lawmakers introducing bills looking into the ban of hedge funds from buying single-family homes.
So Democrat lawmakers are getting all worked up over nothing?
Again, here from Realtor.com. Crackdown on hedge fund homebuyers won't lower housing prices, economists argue. Proposed congressional legislation to ban Wall Street hedge funds from snapping up single-family homes would have little impact on home prices, one economist has argued. Quote, with their small national market share, claim that large institutions inflate house prices seems exaggerated, wrote Capital Economics property economist Thomas Ryan. In our view, lawmakers are looking for a new scapegoat to blame for unaffordable housing. So this expert says that institutional investors, nothing to see here, move right along. So who is this Thomas Ryan? He's an economist with Capital Economics. And what does Capital Economics do? They work with institutional investors to, quote, make better investment decisions.
So are institutional investors feeling the vibe? Is buying up all the single-family housing a good business model?
Well, sure looks like it. But since the financial crisis, and especially since 2019, that's changed. Meaning, financial heavyweights like JP Morgan Asset Management, Blackstone, Goldman Sachs Asset Management have helped bankroll industry of more than 24 single-family rental companies that are snapping up existing properties and building new ones too. The author said financial heavyweights, and you know what? These certainly sound like financial heavyweights. And these financial heavyweights buying up homes then make it harder for buyers to buy homes, meaning they have to rent, thus driving up rent prices. Thus, again, making these investments even more attractive to the big financial heavyweight institutional investors. The influx of this institutional capital is one element driving the surge in single-family housing prices and rents across the USA today. And despite negative media scrutiny, rising rents are attracting even more investors.
They said the overall share of investors has grown since 2000 and currently around 30%, as you see in the chart below, but vast majority are small and pop investors. And like I told you in the past videos, they are trying to blame all of these home prices and the increase in rents on small mom and pop home investors. But if they are only owning 2 houses in one area, and a company like Vinebrook owns 1,000 homes in the area, who do you think dictates the rental price in that area? It's not going to be the mom and pop investor that owns 3 houses. It's going to be the one that owns 1,000 houses in that direct area. So to blame mom and pops is ridiculous. It's just nothing but a red herring. They always want to point it to the little guy, which always ticks me off.
But of course, the institutional investors, they're experts, and their propaganda machine, they don't want you to know that they've reduced the supply of affordable homes and consequently caused prices to go up because, it's your fault.
Conspiracy theory? Maybe not so much anymore. Do you think private equity is really trying to help solve the affordability crisis here in the United States? It's not feeling so much like that, is it? Sounds like they're trying to rob the American dream from a lot of future homeowners.
So what can be done to curb the big heavyweight financial investors? The very outfits that can contribute to political campaigns?
For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws.
Someone isn't gonna like that.
By price fixing and driving up rents.
So do you think any of this will really make a difference? As of now, no. It's all just political hot air. Just like Biden's proposal to give buyers a tax credit, but it only applies to, a select group of buyers during specific circumstances, and then with the threat that those buyers have to pay all this money back, probably a one shot, if they don't live in their house long enough.
I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgage when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space if they come from a middle-class background. They come from a family that's well under $200,000 or less.
And all these things are just political hot air contributing to global warming that needs a divided Congress to send legislation to Biden's desk. Certainly nothing that's going to happen right away.
But there is something that will make a difference right away. Politicians trying to fix things. Dems want to make it worse. Do we have normal demand and normal supply? We've got high demand in Idaho because, Marxist areas are chasing liberty-loving folks out. Taxes, crime, housing costs, can't get home insurance, homelessness, and on and on. And we've got a restricted supply of homes from material costs, labor costs, land costs, and the increasing costs of such governmental intrusion as, climate change.
To wrap this up, what's happening now that affects housing affordability is inflation, high interest rates, the cost of government dictates, and institutional investors buying up a huge percentage of the single-family homes. And who has Biden called upon to protect home buyers from all these things that make homes unaffordable?
I'm calling on realtors to follow through on lowering their commissions to protect home buyers. On a typical home purchase, that alone could save folks an average of $10,000 on the sale or purchase.
So what do you think? Is it my fault that homes are unaffordable? Or is it global warming's fault? Or is it Biden's fault? Or is it the central planning failures of the Federal Reserve that drive up inflation and mortgage rates? Or is it the fault of the big heavyweight institutional investors? Housing costs, be it renting or buying, is more and more unaffordable. You can't fix the problem until you know the cause. So hopefully part 1 and now part 2 in this short little series has helped you think about some of those things that are really causing unaffordable housing. Thanks for stopping in. We'll see you on the next video.
Hey, thanks for stopping in and learning more about real estate in Nampa, Idaho and the Treasure Valley. If you'd like to learn more, watch this video here next or binge on this playlist. When it comes time to sell a home, buy a home, or even relocate to the Treasure Valley, your Treasure Valley Dave team is your real estate expert by your side, helping you get home.